Yes, good, look good.
We're going to begin in about 5 minutes. If everyone can please like move forward just to fill in some of the space in the middle there, that'd be cool. Thank you.
Anh lấy nước không chung lấy nước?
Hả?
Lấy nước uống.
Sao?
Lấy nước uống không?
Con để không biết.
Hả?
Để tí nữa. Thank you.
Nhiều khi khác cảnh.
Em chỉ quay cả ba đó không quay gì hết.
Quá dữ. Dữ chưa?
Phải vào đây bây giờ. Ambassador sẽ đi bộ đây này. Dạ, được rồi.
Thằng Hùng nó đi cái kia là phải rồi, tại vì nó đi cái của mình đâu có được đâu.
Ai?
Hùng nó đi cái Phật giáo Hòa Hảo là phải.
Đâu nó đi nó tại vì anh không biết.
Cái sự đâu được đâu. Nên về Việt Nam nó có được đâu.
Đúng vậy, mà cái 19 tháng 6 mà đưa về còn được, tại vì cái đó là cái sinh hoạt cộng đồng của người Việt. Muốn chơi cộng đồng.
Thế vậy muốn chơi nó muốn thích gì nó thích chứ, tại cái đó là không mà.
Đúng rồi.
Thì đầy voi nó ok đó, voi trả tiền.
Đúng rồi.
Có nhiều cái event cùng một lúc mà.
Nhưng mà theo mình thì cái quan trọng
Quan trọng nhưng mà nó không quan trọng.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and members of the community, I am honored to be your Master of Ceremonies for today's event, Insight to El Salvador, with Ambassador Milena Mayorga. To begin the evening's proceedings, please stand for the national anthem of the United States, which will be followed by the national anthem of El Salvador. Please remain standing for the national anthem of El Salvador. Thank you. Please be seated. Before we proceed, I'd like to recognize the distinguished guests and dignitaries joining us today. I know there's many people in the room from different communities and backgrounds and nations. So first, I'd like to recognize the various diplomatic staff and counselors and everybody of the Embassy of El Salvador. Your presence means a great deal to us being here and hosting this event with us. We're also welcome to be joined by members of the Embassy of Turkey. We're honored to have their esteemed representatives present with us also. We'd also like to welcome the Economic Counselor of the Embassy of Nepal, who is joining us today. We also have people coming from the embassies of Uganda and Bolivia. I would also like to thank Chairman Kim of the Korean Community Center for graciously hosting us today in this beautiful center. I would also like to recognize the president of the Vietnamese community, Kevin Pham, as well as Vice President Max Burns. Also, Fabrice Camdum and Jean-Claude Moafi of the Cameroonian community. They're big leaders in the Cameroonian American community. Also, we're joined by Eduardo Cordova, who is a very big leader in the Bolivian community and in general the Latin American community. Director of Expo Bowl USA. In addition, we also have the president of the America Nepal Society, Sujit Aryal, and his family are joining us. Also, we have Ken Pham of Capture the Moment and Myanmar. I don't know if you know Myanmar in Eden Center. He's a really good photographer, and he's actually volunteering to take photos of the event. And last but not least, we would also like to recognize Mega Mart Arlington, which is a big store in Columbia Pike, and they graciously donated Salvador pupusas for everybody to try today. So we'd like to recognize them. So now it is my great honor to introduce our first person of the evening, who is the president of American Minority Engagement Network, president and founder. She is an immigrant from Vietnam. She moved to the United States to escape communism in 1975. Her personal experience in the Vietnam War and the brutality that she and her family endured under communism has given her a deep appreciation for freedom and traditional values, leading her to found this organization in 2021. She is a prominent leader in the Vietnamese American community. She's the vice president of the Vietnamese Women's Association of Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and numerous other Vietnamese organizations. In 2011, she was appointed by Governor Bob McDonnell to serve on the Virginia Real Estate Board. In 2020, she was appointed to President Donald Trump's Asian Pacific American Advisory Council. And in 2022, she was appointed by Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin to the Virginia Council on Women, where she continues to serve. So please join me in welcoming to the stage the president and founder of the American Minority Engagement Network, An Thu Do.
Thank you, Trevor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinct honor to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker for this evening. Ambassador Melanie Mayorkas has had a remarkable journey. Appointed by President Nayib Bukele in 2020, she has been serving as the ambassador of El Salvador to the United States, bringing with her a wealth of experience and a passionate commitment to her country. Before her appointment as an ambassador, Melanie Mayorkas was a respected member of the Salvadoran Congress, where she introduced significant legislation aimed at combating corruption in government. Her efforts in Congress demonstrated her unwavering dedication to transparency and integrity. Prior to her distinguished career in government, Ambassador Mayorkas was a successful figure in marketing and communications. She gained widespread popularity as a television host and achieved international recognition as a world-renowned model. Notably, she represented El Salvador in the Mrs. Universe pageant, where she finished in the top 10, showcasing her elegance and grace on the global stage. Ambassador Mayorkas' diverse and accomplished background, combined with her dedication to public service, makes her an exemplary leader and true ambassador of her country. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ambassador Melanie Mayorkas of El Salvador.
Good evening, everybody. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Greetings from the government of President Nayib Bukele, dear members of the American Member Engagement Network. For me, it's very special to be here to share a little bit about our country, to taste El Salvador, and to have like a better image of what we're doing right now in our country. In 2015 was the year with the highest record homicide rate in the recent history of my country, with an average of 18 murders per day. This means over 106 deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. The world witnesses not so long ago how gangs and crime ruled our society, and how my country was the world capital of murder. However, we experienced a miracle in El Salvador. I am here to talk to you about this miracle that happened in my country. First, I want to explain to you how we got to that wonderful achievement. In the 80s, thousands of Salvadorans fled the country because of the violence and cruelty of our civil war. They came to the United States. Hundreds of families settled down in California, Virginia, Maryland, New York, and other states. It was in the streets of California where Salvadorans had to face the violence and abuse of other gangs in Los Angeles. That killed a reaction that generated the MS-13 and 18 street gangs. After that, President Reagan deported hundreds of these young Salvadorans who went back to a country in the aftermath of the Civil War with a very fragile democracy and no control from the authorities. During decades, Salvadoran governments asked for aid and applied for aid models of policies for national security. Step by step, the insecurity became a business model for all politicians. It was good for them to have an insecure country so they could ask for billions of dollars in cooperation and then, of course, took some of them for their pockets. Moreover, they would keep sending people out of the country to send remittances to their families. We can see right now that we almost have like 3 million of Salvadorans abroad, especially here in the United States. The 90% of the Salvadorian families are living all around the United States. Then in Canada, some of them in Europe and Australia. That way also gangs could collect extortions and assault citizens with impunity. If they got caught, they would be released by a corrupt judicial system. Most case scenario, murderers would be sent to prison where they graduated in criminal science. Ultimately, I have to go here to speak on behalf of the government of El Salvador about our security plan. And I have to tell them, especially in the Congress, that before the jails in El Salvador used to be like social clubs where they could eat pizza, prostitutes, come to have like visits, and also they used to play video games. So it was like a social club. They ruled the society from inside jails. So El Salvador had right-wing and left-wing governments, and none of them had interest in taking down gangs. None of them did what they had to do. It was until President Nayib Bukele was elected to office that he started really fighting to take back control of the state and give our people security and prosperity. Also, back then, it was so dangerous to go around different neighbors. For example, here, a team of baseball, a youth team can go to play in different cities. In El Salvador, it was really dangerous to go to the city of the opponent gang. So we couldn't have the right of living in a free country, also the right of living safely. And this is why President Nayib Bukele took control. And the plan that is right now in El Salvador that has different phases is called Territorial Control Plan. But it wasn't easy. These all politicians fought back to keep the status quo. I was over there in the Congress, and I saw how all the old system and the status quo started fighting back President Bukele because he wanted to put rule and law. So he had to take office with no support of the Congress and the Supreme Court against him too. President Bukele would ask for more budget to properly equip security forces, and they would refuse to approve it. Then President Bukele would sign executive orders that was towards security measurements with the rejections by the Supreme Court and also, of course, of the Congress. For that reason, Salvadorians in 2021 gave President Bukele the super majority in Congress, which allowed him and the Congress and the members of the Congress to renovate the Supreme Court and also the General Attorney to fight all together against gangs. So he decided to start the war against gangs. The new judges also clean up the judicial system and remove corrupt judges, what the General Attorney did also in the public ministry. Thanks to President Bukele's administration, El Salvador is no longer the world capital of murder. On his first term, we have had 628 days with 0 murders, and the death rate decreased by 9%, thanks to President Bukele's security plan. In 2022, due to hostile acts caused by gang members, the state of exception was implemented after a very dark weekend. Since then, over 80,000 gang members and collaborators have been put in jail. Those results boosted President Bukele's popularity and served him to also push him to the second term with 82% of the votes. It also helped him to gain a supermajority again in the Congress and local governments too, despite the criticism of think tanks, human rights groups, and international community about all the violations against the populations. Salvadoran families approved President Bukele and the security measures. Out of 10 Salvadorans in the U.S. asked on a research said that their intention is to go back to live in El Salvador, and 5 out of 10 have already invested in the country. This is what we call reverse migration, which is unusual in a diverse community in the United States, to see that the conditions are settled down so you can make plans to go back to your home country. As a matter of fact, less people is fleeing the country to come to the U.S. and the very few that are still doing it are so forced to leave because of violence. Encounters in the southern-western border last month decreased 11% versus the previous year and 47% compared to 2022. We are out of the top 10 countries that are coming to the U.S. Before we used to be the top 3. So this means that families are staying in El Salvador because they feel safe. And also right now, we are working very hard for the second miracle. It's the economic miracle. That's why we have companies starting business in El Salvador as Google, who recently opened a new operation in El Salvador, and also Bitcoin industry are attracting a lot of technological companies to come and do business in El Salvador. We also have the highest tourism flow, and we fully recovered to pre-pandemic levels. As a fun fact, 12,000 international visitors went to El Salvador for the president's inauguration day. That is a miracle that we are living in El Salvador. And now President Bukele and his cabinet are working hard on the second miracle that we want to achieve in his term, the economical reactivation of El Salvador. So families will stay because they feel safe, but also they have the opportunity to prosper. I will take advantage of this opportunity to invite you to visit El Salvador. We have direct flights from DC, like 4 flights from DC direct to El Salvador. Also, we have direct flights from New York to San Salvador and the most important cities in the United States. And I think it's, for me, a great opportunity to share some words and to explain how we became a new nation. It's like our rebirth. We are really living the safe and peaceful atmosphere that I think everybody deserves in their countries. So we have more for you, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And of course, El Salvador opened its arms to receive you, to make business with you, and of course, today you're going to taste a little bit of El Salvador. Thank you. We have prepared a video so you can see some images of what's going on in El Salvador. You can see our beautiful landscaping, volcanoes, beaches, and more about our security control plan.
Phải mang cái cờ ra.
y vamos a ver cuánto tiempo dura.
Cái vệ sinh San Martin là
Sao?
to.
Tôi biết mà anh đâu đó tôi biết.
Tao làm gì xin nó cứ lên là được.
Anh chết khe đi nhiều lần quá anh biết là anh lên là làm được nhưng mà không những biết thế.
Gracias a Dios y gracias a este pueblo noble y unido, pasamos de ser el país más inseguro del mundo a ser el país más seguro de todo el hemisferio occidental. Ahora, en estos próximos 5 años, esperen a ver lo que vamos a hacer.
Queda en posesión del cargo de presidente constitucional de la República de
El 4 de febrero, ustedes reafirmaron que este es el camino que ustedes quieren para El Salvador, para que salga adelante y cambiar para siempre. Logramos lo inimaginable y lo hemos hecho acá, pero no con nuestra fuerza ni con nuestra inteligencia, sino únicamente por la gloria de Dios.
Tự chiêu.
Mr. Nichols, we saw each other in El Salvador, and a couple of days ago, wonderful to have seen you there for the second inaugural of President Bukele. Salvador was the murder capital of the world at one point, and now it's the safest country in Western Hemisphere. Not bad, but you know that Bukele was not one of your favorites. What did he do right?
President Bukele and his government have implemented a comprehensive rule of law programming. The frontal effort to control the gangs in El Salvador is impressive and something that many countries are watching with great interest. We are concerned, however, that such policy should include a respect for the rule of law and the opportunity for all citizens to receive
Of
due process.
course, I was the first one who told him we do not want anyone who's innocent in jail. Right, you agree with me, but do you still agree that they did a great job? And even the State Department is saying, okay, well, maybe we should copy this.
Well, I think that we can help countries implement policies that address crime and still respect the rule of law.
No doubt about it, I'm sure they want that too.
I think it falls back on citizenship. I think you should have more countries that feel as though their citizens are important.
If El Salvador could do it, I just got back from El Salvador. I went there to Bukele's inauguration. It was one of the most impressive people I've ever met. And I'm sitting there looking at a country that was functionally a failed state, and now is poised to be the Singapore of the Western Hemisphere. And I'm thinking, if this country is this I don't buy that Canada is so under the thumb of the globalists that they can't prevail.
I just got back from a 2-day visit, official visit to El Salvador. El Salvador was one of the most dangerous countries in the world up until very recently. It was a place that one of the leading murder capitals of the world. It was a place where everybody lived in terror of MS-13 and the other street gangs. Everybody was paying extortion money to these gangs, where these gangs were not just killing people, they were dismembering bodies, where people were illegally leaving the country in droves. I met someone who talked to me about how they had to leave El Salvador because they wouldn't pay the extortion money, so they killed one of their sons and they left before they killed the other son. It was a place that was in a lot of trouble. They elect a new president, Nayib Bukele, and he takes office. He gets the legislative branch to give him special powers for a special period for a limited time. And he uses it to go out and round up all the gang members and put 30 or 40,000 of them in jail. And guess what? All of a sudden, the crime rate has plummeted. All of a sudden, the murder rate has plummeted. All of a sudden, for the first time in decades, people can go out at night. All of a sudden, for the first time in decades, people don't have to pay extortion money to a gang anymore.
Ganó casi el 87% de los salvadoreños en el país, casi el 98% de los salvadoreños afuera del país votaron por este. Oigan, Dios en realidad ha sido muy
Gracias a Dios, siempre al final Dios es el que decide todo y pues siempre con la guía y la sabiduría de Dios y gracias a la gente que confía en nosotros para poder trabajar estos 5 años por el pueblo salvadoreño.
Y cuente con nosotros en el Congreso Federal y yo como su congresista dentro del comité del Western Hemisphere, ¿no? Del hemisferio occidental, del Comité de Relaciones Exteriores. Cuente con nosotros por nuestra mi cariño y bendiciones para ustedes.
Bendiciones también y bendiciones a todos.
All right. Let's discuss. Okay, we're going to have everybody come up actually to take a group photo following the ambassador's speech.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody can just remain.
Okay, okay, that'd be awesome. Okay.
One question.
Yep.
Please.
One second. All right, everybody. Danielle. That's me. One more. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Good.
We have a young lady that we would like you to take a picture with. Can you take a picture with this young lady? Her name is Danielle. She's the future.
Take a picture.
Hả? Ở đâu? Không được.
Ganado te cambio.
I don't want to, I just want to give her something.
I'm going to introduce you Carlos Quiroga, the Minister Consular. He's going to give you reviews. We have a study. She's been that's a good one. And she was a she has to go. She finished recently cancer treatment. She's about to go for use of condition. So this is the Minister Consular, Carlos Girona. He's going to be doing a Q&A for you. Okay? And after that, we're going to have some Salvadorian snacks. And at the back of the table, we have some necklace and some Salvadorian snacks.
But if you would just let me know. Yes, I'm going to contact the person. And this is.
Đâu phải đâu. Bà chụp hình hoài chứ đâu có phỏng vấn gì đâu.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, thank you, everybody. So to start off, we're thrilled to have you here. We're thrilled to have everybody from Embassy here to kind of tell us what's really going on in El Salvador. Most of the people in this room are interested in what's going on in El Salvador because they're interested in how the country was turned around, how you reform the economy. A lot of people here are from different nations which also suffer from extreme corruption, crime, and everything else. And so to have El Salvador, which was the most dangerous country in the world, go to one of the safest is somewhat miraculous. And so I think everybody's a little bit curious as to what that was like or how you did it. But just to give like a little bit of background, most people here don't really know what it was like prior to Bukele. So can you like tell us a little bit like what life in El Salvador used to be like?
Yes, of course. So, well, maybe first of all, introduce myself. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlos Girona. I work as Minister Counselor in the Embassy of El Salvador in the economic section. So, to your question, just to give you a little bit of a background, El Salvador, I think the ambassador touched some of those points during her speech. But we went through a civil war during the 80s, and in that time, a lot of people left El Salvador. Most of them came to the United States. And then what happened was that Salvadorians, specifically in California, reacted against a lot of hostility from local gangs. Eventually, that developed into what was 18th Street Gang and MS-13. And during the Clinton era, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of them were sent back to El Salvador. And unfortunately, during that time, our country was, just starting the aftermath of what happened in the Civil War. We weren't really organized, and we received a lot of inflow of people who live here and that had certain traits that were not really good, and practically they found fertile ground in El Salvador to develop and became a lot of gangs. And a lot of bad policies eventually led to those gangs became stronger and stronger, to the point in which our country was practically have a second government behind the elected government. It was really, really bad before our president came into office. It was so bad that, for example, someone from a neighborhood that they live in where there was a gang, and they could go to the next corner, right to the next block. And if that block was ruled by the opposition gang, and they lived in the other one, they could get killed. Not even someone who didn't have any relationship with the gang, just by the fact that they lived in the opposite sides gang. So that was how our reality was before. It was really, really hard, and security. What we come to find is that security is the baseline for everything. If you want to improve your economy and a lot of other stuff that revolves around a healthy, society, you need to have a good security, and that was one of the things that I think that was the, let's say, like the main thing behind his first tenure, and I think that's what has turned around our country a lot. Sorry for the big answer, but yeah, that's.
So, could you elaborate on what exactly the security plan was that he implemented? Because I know he had kind of like phases to a plan to actually crack down on crime.
Yes, thank you. So, yeah, the plan consisted of around 7 phases. If I'm not mistaken, it's under 8. And the first few phases were revolved around strengthening our armed forces and our police, giving them proper equipment and, good resources for them to do their job. And it also has to do with preventing crime as well, because what is important about President's security plan is that it's not only about, punishing criminals, it's also about preventing crime by, reaching out to youth, giving them opportunities, things like that. But unfortunately, on 2022, on March, if I'm not mistaken, there was a huge spike in murders made by gangs, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was around 60 murders during the weekend. So imagine that. That was pretty bad in just 2 days, and that made President Bukele take the decision of stating the state of emergency in our country, and that eventually led, him and our security forces to have a certain, like facilities to go after gang members, and that eventually led to around 80,000 gang members to be arrested. And then, as you heard the Congress members talk about it, it completely was a 180 in our security, in terms of security in our country.
So we're also being joined by Daniel Doe of the American Minority Engagement Network, and I'd like to give him an opportunity to ask a question as well.
Sure, thank you. So what economic incentives have been introduced during President Bukele's administration to attract investment and promote economic growth?
Okay, thank you for the question. Let's say specifically one of his most landmark laws. One has to do with digital assets law, which promotes investment in, as the law says, digital assets, so it could be related to a Bitcoin and things like that. So it gives tax incentives to people who want to build companies around that. Also, there's one related to a specific area of manufacturing software and hardware in our country. So if there's any company that wants to go and invest in our country in terms of technology, they also have plenty of tax incentives. I think around 10 years and zero tax for those kind of investments. And besides that, our country promotes a lot like green energy a lot. Around I think above 85% of our energy matrix comes from renewable resources. So it's a lot of he's been trying to push that as well. And we even just so people know this, before President Bukele came into office, we didn't export energy. And after a lot of these economic policies, now we even produce so much energy that we export it to other countries in the region. So that's some of the laws that he has implemented.
Another big thing that El Salvador has been making headlines for is the adoption of Bitcoin. Can you explain, does that brought any benefits to El Salvador doing that?
Yeah, a lot. Some of those benefits have been direct benefits, but there are also some indirect benefits. So direct benefits, I can mention some of the companies that moved to El Salvador and use the digital assets law to establish, exchange companies, in case you want to change Bitcoin for other currencies and things like that. Some of them have based their offices in El Salvador, taking advantage of this law, and also some even to some mining companies and things like that. But indirectly, it has put El Salvador in the map in terms of repositioning the country. So having Bitcoin as another currency has made people from other countries that do not usually visit El Salvador to come to El Salvador. And I could easily mention the last times I've gone to El Salvador and I've seen people from Romania, Russia, or countries that, people from other countries that I've never seen in El Salvador before. People from Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, Central Europe, that I've rarely seen in El Salvador before. And I think this law has attracted the eyes of people who didn't know where El Salvador was. And you can see it because our tourism has increased by twofold in the last couple of years, a lot. So I think that, yeah, that's some of the things that indirectly Bitcoin has produced to El Salvador in terms of benefits.
Thank you. So corruption has been a major issue in many countries. So how is President Bukele's administration addressing and combating corruption in El Salvador?
Well, first of all, I think Madam Embassador also mentioned that in her speech. In the last election, the last two elections, one that had to do with Congress and the last one which was Congress and the President, the people of El Salvador voted unanimously to him, giving, superpower in the Congress and things like that. So that allowed for reshipment to shift and make the General Attorney and the Supreme Court and the judiciary system different and much better. So that helped a lot to remove corrupt judges and things like that, and that helped a lot to improve, fighting corruption in El Salvador. And you can also see from his last speech in December, if I'm not mistaken, before he had to step out of office to be able to participate in the election, how he mentioned that he asked publicly to the Attorney General to please audit all of his members of office of the different ministries to see if there were any corrupt actions made by them, and that even gave some results. Some members of his staff from his cabinet were indicted for acts of corruption. So he not only fighting corruption that has happened before, which is plenty, but he also is fighting actively for acts of corruption right now. And the best way to to promote good what's the word in English, good habits is to not only preach it but also go for it by action. And those kind of actions definitely I think improves and reduces a lot of corruption in the government.
So on a more spiritual question for you, a lot of the people here are also interested in the spiritual aspect of the transformation of El Salvador, because President Bukele has spoken a lot in his speeches about this being due to God and due to the people turning to God in El Salvador, and that many of the gangs like MS-13 were satanic and were committing human sacrifice and killing people in the name of the devil. And so President Bukele has called it like a spiritual war also. What role do you think God played in the transformation of El Salvador personally? And have you seen a change in the people of El Salvador and turning to God?
I definitely believe God played a huge part in that, because, well, generally speaking, in El Salvador, we are people that we believe a lot in God. So religion is very important for Salvadorians, and we're very close, to God. And I think for God, He was able to illuminate our president, which was a normal, Salvadorian citizen, and he was able to get the force, because it was not easy. I mean, back in 2019, just to give you like a point of reference, even though our political system allows different parties to exist, pretty much in our country, ever since the Civil War ended, there's always been like a right-wing party and a left-wing party, and they sort of like move from one way to the other, similar to here where you have a Republican Party and then you have the Democratic Party, and he practically destroyed that bipartisan in our country, which was unthinkable. And you can only explain that by God or by a higher power, because it was really, really hard to imagine someone, destroying the bipartisan in our country. And we always been, at least before, we were a country which was very polarized, similar to, I imagine, what you have sort of experienced here, especially after COVID-19. It seems there's a lot of polarization here. And he was able to reunite all of the country under one leadership, which is really, really hard. And definitely, I think God played a part in that. And as you mentioned, and even some news here, I think it was in Virginia or Maryland, that you mentioned how MS-13 gang members were doing satanic rituals even here. So it's, as he said in his last, in his inauguration this year, that it was war between good and evil, right?
So one last question from us before we take questions from the audience. Many people are talking about El Salvador potentially being the next Dubai or Singapore, Central America. Do you think that's true? And where do you see El Salvador maybe 10 or 15 years from now?
Hopefully that way, to be honest. Yeah, hopefully that way. But it depends not only on what President Bukele does, it really depends on the citizens as well. Because he can sort of be the leader and lead us the way, but every person, like in here, everyone is the owner of their own destiny. And you have to take accountability of your decisions, and it really comes at the end to what each individual citizen decision, and hopefully all of us in El Salvador, the people who are in El Salvador and the people Salvadorians who are abroad, each plays its own part to make this country better. It really depends on taking responsibility of your actions and really playing your part to make your country much better.
Thank you. So now we'd like to open the floor to questions from the audience. So if anybody has a question about El Salvador, please raise your hand. Okay, we have a number of questions here. Okay, let's go.
No.
Buenas noches, señor ministro consejero. I'm Chris Orr, a former U.S. Air Force officer. Now I'm a military defense aviation writer for simpleflying.com. Having thus self-identified, probably no surprise, I'm going to ask you a military-related question. What are the plans for your government and for President Bukele regarding your armed forces, especially your Air Force, the Fuerza Aérea Salvadoreña? Any plans as far as increasing the Air Force's budget and manpower and or equipment and technological capabilities? Which is going to say?
Yeah, thank you. Of course, to be honest, I'm not really sure because I'm more in the economic section of the embassy. So I would have to ask our military attachés or our police attachés related to answer that question. But taking into face what he has mentioned on what he has done in the past years, I imagine the budget will be pretty much similar, or at least similar to what he has done in the past. And yeah, sorry.
Any more questions here? Okay, let's go with Kevin of the Vietnamese community.
Thank you. My name is Kevin again. I'm a current president of the Vietnamese American community in this area. My question is concerning investment opportunities. What are the most promising sectors for foreign investment in El Salvador right now?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. So I would say the sector that is booming right now in El Salvador is tourism and real estate. Tourism has increased incredibly in El Salvador, and it's a good moment right now to buy real estate in El Salvador and start developing. Right now, there's a huge demand for apartments, houses, hotels, especially luxury hotels, because as I mentioned before, Bitcoin and other the way in which our country has been repositioned has attracted a lot of people who has a lot of good budget to travel and everything. So we don't our hotels are not usually equipped to host those kind of visitors. So right now there's a lot of demand for high-end, more luxury kind of boutiques, hotels, and things like that. So I would say the tourism sector. But besides that, energy is very huge in attracting energy investors, software and manufacturing. We have a really good offshore businesses sector in El Salvador. We even have a company, really good company, that's called Aplaudo in El Salvador, that actually serves some NBA teams in here, Walmart, a lot of big companies in here. They do a lot of software engineering for them. So I would say those are like the main sectors. Although we also have a very good light manufacturing sector, which is textile and what's the word, like pharmaceuticals and things like that. So I would say that those are the other sectors.
Thank you very much. My name is Reggie. I'm an anchor with Fox 5 Television, and I've been waiting to ask you 2 questions. First question, are any of these investors Salvadorian-owned businesses, and what is the criteria? Second question, are any of the banks owned by Salvadorian people?
Are the what, sorry?
Banks.
Banks.
Yeah, they are.
Most of the banks in El Salvador, I think they're foreign.
Foreign, did you say?
Yeah. Some of them like from Colombia, some of them from the United States, but yeah, I think there's one that's Salvadorian owned, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And the first question was?
First question was? Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah. Actually, most.
And the criteria.
Yeah, most of the do you mean like if most of the investment we receive comes from Salvadorans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the investment that we received in terms of volume or quantity has been by Salvadorians, especially with abroad. So our diaspora has been really helpful, especially in the last couple of years, to increase the foreign direct investment that we receive, which is really nice because it's like a vote of confidence, of Salvadorians that we outside and they say, oh, I believe in this project, I will go and invest in it.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I have a question related to that as a follow-up to the question the gentleman did. So I realize that, the country is going through this massive transformation, right, and transformation, economical development, and things of that nature. Now that we have security in the country, I'm from El Salvador myself, and I think that is a really good question, right, because the country is now open to investment and growing and economical growth and development. But we also realize that we have other different challenges in the country that still exist outside of security, right? The local population, for example, right? What is the government doing to make sure that the local population is not negatively impacted by all these foreign investments?
And that's a good question, and I think President Bukele mentioned that. I don't know if everyone saw his interview with Tucker Carlson recently, but I think he mentioned something like related to that in that interview, where he mentioned that we have to cut the red tape. We have to cut the red tape in government and facilitate new investors to come and actually make those the cost of investing in Salvador lower, because the more investment, the higher the if you have very high demand and low what's the word in English, supply, prices go up. But if you increment supply and then demand stays as it was, then prices go down. So in terms of, like, for example, of the housing, that's what our government is trying to promote actively. Let's increase this supply, and that will bring prices down. So more or less.
Good afternoon. I am True Brown, resident of the Vietnamese American Association of Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I have a question regarding gender ideology in schools. Gender ideology is a growing concern in the United States and in other Western countries, where it is being taught to children against the wishes of most parents. President Bukele recently announced that gender ideology has been removed from schools in El Salvador. Would you confirm that this is true?
Yes, I can confirm that. As I mentioned before, we are a very religious country, and each country is how it is, and we respect each other country. But in our case, yeah, we believe that there's a woman, there's a man, yeah.
Here, by the way, she's the future of El Salvador. This young lady is the future of El Salvador.
Good evening.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Daniela Castillo Rojas, and my question for you this evening is, what is being done for the children and their immigrant parents, and how can I help?
All right. So do you mean the ones that are returning to El Salvador, or the ones here? Oh, well, I have to sort of understand your question, because we have a huge range of consulates. We have around 25, 27 consulates in the whole United States, and they provide different support and services to Salvadorans that are part of our diaspora in here, and that goes to a long range of services. So I don't know if that's what you mean, or if you meant something different.
How are they helping the immigrant families?
Okay. Well, you have all of our consulates, and myself also, and part of the embassy, we have good relationship with different U.S. agencies. So we try to keep informed our population of the different programs that are available for them. So, for example, SBA is a huge tool that I think U.S. citizens have if they want to start their own business in here. I still do this because I specifically lean more into the economic side. I don't know more on the social side. But in terms of the economic side, I can sort of give you some examples. So, for example, I have a good relationship with different SBA offices around the United States. So, if I come into talk with someone Salvadorian that is interested in setting up their own business or something, I can sort of redirect them put them in the right direction and tell them, oh, okay, maybe you can get this grant from the SBA office in this state, and they can help you, set up your business and things like that. So, specifically related to your question, I think that answers it.
Okay, we have a question in the very back of the room back here. We can only get to a few more because we're running out of time.
Yes, hello, my name is Edmil Salazar. I'm the founder of the Cash Academy, Pasitos Financieros, where we talk a lot about the need of financial literacy for the children in the schools. What is President Bukele doing in order to teach the children about financial literacy and prepare them to be able to handle the economy of Bitcoin and everything that you guys are doing?
Oh, thank you. That's actually a great question. Thank you. Part of ever since President Bukele announced, the Bitcoin became a legal tender in El Salvador, there's been some changes into our academic pensum, or academic program. So a lot of most of the children in the public sector or in the public schools are being taught about Bitcoin, how to do mining, basic things like related to Bitcoin. So there's definitely a lot of financial literature that's being taught in school, and it has definitely changed. Because after all, young kids are our future, and it's important for them to be comfortable and not be scared of something that might be currently unknown, but eventually will become known. So facilitating that will definitely make them more comfortable with that in the future, more prepared. And being prepared in the future for something like that makes you able to take advantages of opportunities and not,
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all we can get to for right now with the questions, because we do have a dance group which is patiently waiting. Everybody that has a question for the embassy staff will be here when we're eating food for you guys to chit chat with them.
It was a pleasure answering your questions. And yeah, if you want to ask me something, don't worry.
So up next, we're going to have Ms. Antudo, the president of AMEX. She's going to come and tell you a little bit about the dance group which is about to perform for you, a traditional Salvadoran dance.
Good evening again. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing a group that holds a special place in our hearts and represents the rich cultural heritage of El Salvador. Flor de Cafe Foundation is not just a dance group. They are a non-profit organization dedicated to rescuing, preserving, and promoting Salvadoran culture through native folklore. Founded on March 12, 2023 in Manassas, Virginia, this organization was initiated by individuals from San Miguel, El Salvador, who are deeply committed to their roots. Beyond their mesmerizing dance performance, Flor de Cafe Foundation has shown a profound commitment to their community. Recently, they successfully fundraised to purchase much-needed hospital equipment for nursing mothers and babies in El Salvador, demonstrating their dedication to giving back and making a tangible difference. Please join me in welcoming the Flor de Cafe Foundation as they share with us a traditional Salvadoran dance showcasing the beauty and spirit of Salvadoran culture.
Thank you very much. Before letting the group come, as she mentioned, this is a non-profit group. They perform in different places and they are expanding themselves. And one of the things that makes them very special is that they're looking for more dancers to join them. Okay, that is very important. So we invite everyone who watches them, who enjoys them, if it's your desire to support them financially, that will be very welcome. This group needs support, and the way we support them at the embassy is to make this partnership with them. So enjoy it.
Quizá ya no vuelvan, no se ha dado cuenta de que están soplando los vientos de octubre. El barrilete vuela ya no cubre, como el del cerro nube de tormenta. Y el barrilete vuela ya no cubre, como el del cerro nube de tormenta. Hoy se busca el año y él me dijo entre rodillas regresó por vos, pero no lo quiso mi Salvador, pero no lo quiso ver la madrecita, pero no lo quiso mi Santa Dios, pero no lo quiso ver la madrecita. Siento que me muero aquí muy adentro, un dolor que alegría se ardió, y me siento ahora lo mismo que mi hijo, que no tiene otros ni tiene nada. Alguien me lo ha dicho, pero es la verdad. En la madrugada comió un mal agüero, se estaba pagando a mi termosero, yo no dejé un cerro que se tira ya.
My name is
Thank you, Florida Cafe Foundation, for that amazing performance. Everyone, please give them another round of applause. At this time, we would like to offer everyone the opportunity to begin lining up to try El Salvador's national dish, the pusa, and along with tamales and other Salvadoran cuisine. I would like to note for those who do not eat pork, the revuelta pupusas contain pork, but there are pupusas with the cheese only. So please stick around, get to know each
Yes. Philip Nguyen, yes, right here. You pick coffee, you take a picture.
I'm from North Carolina originally, but I live in the area now, and she's from Brazil. What brought you to the United States? What do you I've worked with travelers for a long time. I do fundraising for